How you doing? I'm Art Tom. I'm the Director of Government Relations, State Affairs for National Shooting Sports Foundation. I'm here with our newly minted Attorney General, JB McCuskey of West Virginia. JB, welcome. Thank you so much for coming out to SHOT Show. Thank you for taking the time to join our forum here in just a bit. And just wanted to sit down and talk to you a couple things about your feelings on the Attorney General's role in West Virginia and the firearms industry. One of the things that that we tried to get through last year and talked about was the Firearms Industry Non-Discrimination Act, right? The FIND Act. And similar to the legislation that we have on the ESG ban in West Virginia, this law would ban the state from having a contract with an entity that discriminates against the firearm industry strictly for that reason.
Well, and so the reason why this is important and the reason why it's such a good idea is that we live in a country where the free market is supposed to rule. And the big banks and those in power in Washington have decided that the best way for them to thwart the firearms industry and the Second Amendment rights of not just West Virginians but Americans is to choke off their money. And their hope is that they can use the power that they derive not just from being super wealthy people, but from also having tentacles in Washington to prevent our firearms industries from being able to borrow money, to grow their businesses, and to provide the products that are being so amazingly shown here at SHOT Show. And we are ready. I have the great opportunity to follow Attorney General Morrissey, who was a staunch defender of the Second Amendment and one of our nation's leaders, I think, in promoting how attorney generals can defend the Second Amendment. And so I have a team of people in the office who are ready to go on day one if our legislature can't get that done, to start to find ways to do that through the federal courts.
That's outstanding. In talking about your role as Attorney General and in West Virginia, certainly you recall West Virginia passed the merchant category code ban in West Virginia last year, the MCC ban as it's generically called. And for those that aren't familiar with that, typically we like the MCC codes, right? That gets us our Cabela's points, maybe get a new firearm from spending a lot of money at a retailer like that. But in this circumstance, because the anti-gun left could not get through legislatively their restrictions, they decided to get the banks and force the credit card companies to now start to track all of your firearms and ammunition purchases, and then if somehow, some way, they decide that it's a shady purchase, they could turn that information, all of your information, over to the government. The problem being is that it doesn't tell you exactly if you bought a firearm. It just says you bought something in that store. It could have been a tent, it could have been a sleeping bag, who knows? But as Attorney General, some of that will come to you if there's a problem.
So it's interesting. I used to be the state auditor. Just 10 days ago, I was the state auditor. But I managed almost $3 billion worth of credit card transactions for the state of West Virginia. And so we used MCC codes to find fraud. We used MCC codes to find instances where state or local officials were using their credit cards for their own personal benefit. So they do have an enormous use case. The problem isn't necessarily that the credit card companies are using the MCCs. The problem is that they're giving them to the government. And what the idea here is they're going to start to say, well, you have too many guns, or you shouldn't have been able to buy that many guns in that many months, right? This is another sort of backdoor way for those who wish to infringe on the Second Amendment and the rights of everyone who wants to exercise it through technology and through big banks and through the sort of corporate wokeness that we've seen over the last 7 years or so that we believe is probably hopefully ending as of Monday. But the real problem is that there is an inherent privacy in your ownership of firearms. And this is really starting to blur the lines between what are you allowed to do in private without everyone knowing and what you can't. Because what we know is that there's a lot of people in this world who thinks you shouldn't have any guns, and let alone more than one.
You're absolutely right. General McCuskey, we appreciate you being here. We're excited to have you in West Virginia. It's going to be a great time for the state. Hopefully it's going to be a great time here at SHOT with you. And look forward to seeing you in the years to come.
Well, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you and NSSF having me out. It really is just an unbelievable event. And when you come from West Virginia, firearms are a way of life. It's not just a hobby. It's not just an activity. It is something that is part of the fabric of many of our families. It's part of the father-son, father-daughter relationship as people grow up. And I have the best clients and the best constituents in the world, especially when it comes to Second Amendment issues. And I'm just excited to be here, learn everything I can so that I can go back to the office and be an incredible advocate for the people here.
Absolutely. Well, I'm one of those constituents. You're my Attorney General,
Yeah.
and I'm proud of that. Thank you again, sir.
Thank you, Art. Appreciate you, my friend.